So New Zealand has just rejected recognition of Palestine as a state. The foreign minister explained that with the war raging, Hamas remaining the de facto government of Gaza, and no clarity on next steps, there are too many questions that remain about the future state of Palestine for it to be prudent for New Zealand to announce recognition at this time. If only the UK also had some sense. Because just over a week ago, the British government announced that it would formally recognise the state of Palestine alongside Canada and Australia. The move was presented as something almost noble and moral, a way of keeping alive the dream of a two-state solution. After all, more than 150 countries have already recognised Palestine, so why not Britain too? Why not stand on what politicians love to call the right side of history? But before we all nod along, I want to ask something simple. What has actually changed for us here in Britain? How has this improved your life? Has your weekly shopping bill suddenly gone down? Have your energy costs dropped? Has your council tax stopped climbing? Because if, like me, you step outside and look around this country, the picture is still pretty grim in some areas. People are still drowning in cost of living crisis. Families are wondering how they'll pay for groceries or heat their homes this winter. Waiting lists in the NHS are still long. People are suffering for months just to see a GP, even longer just to get hospital treatment. Borders remain porous, crime is still high in many communities, and yet in the middle of all this, our government wants us to believe that the most urgent and most meaningful thing they can do is to make a symbolic declaration that has nothing to do with the lives of ordinary Britons. But I can tell you what this does. It shows again where the priorities of our so-called leaders are. They want to worry about the Palestinian state. What about the British state? What about worrying about people who elected you? It's like their focus is always somewhere else, virtue signaling on the international stage while problems here at home pile up. And you know what? This is not only about foreign policy. This is also about domestic politics too. Keir Starmer knows that Labour is bleeding support among Muslim voters. We saw this in last year's general election, where Labour lost seats and saw its once unshakable majorities collapse in areas like Leicester, Birmingham, Bradford. Many Muslim voters abandoned Labour. And so what does Starmer do? He reaches for the oldest, most cynical political trick in the book: appeasement. Was the recognition of Palestine done because Starmer wants to rebuild his vote bank? Does he want Labour to hold on to those safe seats or regain those seats where the Muslim vote was decisive? And this is why so many are frustrated with how Labour is handling things. Not only is this recognition a distraction from our domestic crisis, or at least not the biggest priority right now, but because foreign policy is being used to effectively chase votes at home. And I really don't think politicians should be trying, or even be seen to be trying, to serve the interests of different sub-demographic groups. That's why when I hear questions like, oh, but what are they going to do for black people? What are they going to do for Muslims? I think it's just the wrong way to approach politics. The job of government is to serve the whole nation. Now, speaking of statehood, recognition of a state is not meant to be some kind of a hollow gesture. It is actually supposed to be a recognition of reality, that there is a functioning government, that there is rule of law, that there is an authority capable of enforcing peace-making treaties and being held accountable for its actions. Can anyone honestly say this is true of Palestine today? Gaza is really ruled by Hamas, which Britain rightly recognizes as a terrorist organization. Hamas is literally a jihadist militia committed to the destruction of Israel, openly hostile to the West. It rules through fear and intimidation and violence. In the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority has nominal control, but it has basically become synonymous with corruption, nepotism, inefficiency. It has not held a national election in nearly 2 decades. Its leaders are clinging to power without a shred of democratic legitimacy. The institutions are barely credible, and yet Britain has chosen to treat them as if they are a legitimate state. Also, recognition given in this way changes incentives in the wrong direction, because by recognizing Palestine unconditionally you're almost rewarding those who refuse to compromise. You're almost telling groups like Hamas continue your violence. You can still get closer to your political goal. They still have hostages as I speak. They haven't released yet. And I mean, did Britain even bother to ask Palestine what their actual intentions are once they reach full statehood and full sovereignty? What exactly is the plan? How do they see their relationship with Israel and the West, with their own people? Or should we just assume that everything will be just fine and dandy? And even if they do say all the right things, how much can it be trusted? Or will it be like one of those fingers crossed behind the back kind of promises? Yeah, we'll behave, while they've got other plans, other intentions. Remember, they want everything from the river to the sea, which is the complete opposite of the aspirations of a two-state solution. Reminds me of Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister that was in charge of Britain before World War II. He's most known for trying to make a deal with Nazi Germany and Hitler. I can just imagine him flying back from Munich, waving his little piece of paper, convinced he'd brought peace in our time because he cut a deal with Hitler. He genuinely thought appeasement will stop another war. 6 months later, Hitler basically laughed in his face and carried on doing what he was doing. Before I get hate mail, no, I'm not saying Palestinians are Hitler, but Hamas, yeah, maybe, because they are literally happy to openly say they want to wipe Jews off the map, preach an extermination, and they have acted on it. We should also be honest about the risks that Britain now invites. There are security implications of Britain's decision, especially in terms of long-term radicalization, and there is the possibility of terrorist attacks. As I record this, I wasn't even planning to mention it, but the news just came that there was a Manchester terrorist attack where 2 Jewish people were killed, 4 were stabbed, they were injured. Now, at the time of recording this, it's confirmed as a terrorist attack, but it hasn't been confirmed if it's an Islamic terrorist attack. The details will be revealed soon. And if it is, then how stupid and how ironic is it that our leaders keep talking about far-right extremism where there are real concrete and imminent threats elsewhere. What many don't realize is that lone actors and small extremist group networks, they actually draw inspiration every time the sense grows that Britain has chosen a side in a foreign war. That perception will be exploited inevitably by those who want to escalate their cause. And if we step further back again, there's a deeper consequence to all of this. Islamism is emboldened both at home and abroad. Because what is Islamism if not the political project of forcing Western states to bend, to yield? Britain needs to take a stand now. Literally, enough is enough. Stop talking about the far right. Enough of the pandering, enough of the appeasement, enough of looking away. All these seemingly benign actions literally pushes forward this political project of radical Islamism. And if things are bad now, the threats are bad now, things are just going to get so much worse. So let me know your own thoughts on the whole matter, and I'll see you soon.